A whole new season of the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup began at Misano. Glorious weather and a fabulous entry of cars with Mercedes, Lamborghini, Audi, McLaren, Porsche, Bentley, BMW and Ferrari all represented, with the man to beat being last year's champion Enzo Ede, back for another season driving for Audi, and he was in great form.
We had a very good season last year and very happy for that, but now everybody knows we start from zero again, so it's a new year, new championship, and we are here for the first weekend in Misano, which was the most difficult one for us last year. So we will see where we can start and how the rest of the season will go on.
When you look at the entry list of this year, it's even bigger than last year. The GT Series is getting more and more competitive every year. The goal obviously is to win the championship, but the way we finished last year, we proved that we could be competitive. So we hope to continue in that way and try to win.
Great opportunity to be with one of the best team and car. They won again last year. They have a great success. And also for me it's the first time to be really on the complete program with the pro. And I am with Max, who is also the champion, and he's a great driver, great guy. So it's really a new step for me in my career, and I'm looking for this season. Yeah.
The qualifying race had been won by Franck Pereira and Maxi Bouc, but there was mayhem away from the start. Under the floodlights, there was contact on one of the cars that came off very badly indeed, was the Marcus Winkelhock Audi, with huge damage, and as it got crossed up in the dark, it was collected by plenty of other cars. There was damage, there was debris, there was a red flag and a race stop, and it put Winkelhock's car out of the main race.
Yesterday it was a shame, but I think it's not easy. You know, starting the race in the night, it's quite difficult with the overview. Every driver told me that, and unfortunately we got hit by another car. He will spun around, and then I think there were 2 or 3 other cars crashing into him, and the chassis is completely destroyed. There's no way to repair it. Probably we even will get a new chassis for the next race.
For the main race then, the qualifying race, winners Franck Pereira and Maximilian Bouc lined up on pole position. Pereira behind the wheel of the car, and he was the man that grabbed the advantage on the run down towards turn 1 with a quick starting Vincent Abriel in the Bentley going with him, and Michael Meadows now for Mercedes tucking in as well. The Rob Bell, Andrew Watson McLaren was another car looking to make progress, but already Audi was in trouble. Damage for the Marcel Fessler Dries Vanthoor car, which had started 8th on the grid. The car limped on, losing places and losing orientation. Then more drama. Christian Engelhardt's Lamborghini tagged into a spin by Fabian Schiller, who dived up the inside of the BMW, braked far too late, and both cars rotated. The Lamborghini rejoined, but the Grasser Racing team was far from amused. Another battle then shaped up between the two BMWs. Aboard 99, Tom Blomqvist, and 98, Jesse Krohn. Right with them was Jimmy Eriksson in the Mercedes. The three squabbled mercilessly. Mercedes and BMW out wide, and that meant that up the inside, retaking the place, was Jesse Krohn. It was a great battle between the three, but then a drive-through penalty came for Fabian Schiller for this move. Late on the brakes, just tagged the back of Christian Engelhardt. There was nothing Engelhardt could do about it, and Schiller copped a penalty. And then somebody else in strife was the reigning champion Enzo Ede, who had a spin and fell down the order. The car on the grass was able to rejoin, but there was time lost. Andrew Watson in the meantime was battling with the number 3 Audi, making his move up the inside and gaining the position. Once ahead, Watson started to pull away, eager to climb up the order. Hustling on in 6th place, Jimmy Eriksson, and he made his move against Jesse Krohn and went through on the inside line. The next car ahead of Eriksson was the Audi of Romain Monti. Meantime, there were plenty of other battles going on up and down the order. Christian Engelhardt was fighting his way back into contention, knowing that Mirko Bortolotti would take over after the pit stops. In early was Michael Meadows to give way to Raffaele Marciello. In also came the 86 Mercedes. Jimmy Eriksson brought it down the pit lane after a good first stint in a GT car, switching from single-seater racing. Marciello blasted away, tyre change over at HTP Mercedes. And 86 fell back behind Raffaele Marciello as it blasted out of the pit lane. 84 had come in as the leader. Maximilian Bouc would take over from Franck Pereira, and the car would keep its advantage. Number 90, Raffaele Marciello at the wheel, then hit trouble. It was running second, but a second pit stop was just around the corner as the car started to drop down the order. The next battle was between Stephen Kane in the Bentley and Dominic Baumann in number 86. He'd taken over from Jimmy Eriksson, and this became the fight for second position. Kane was ahead, but only just, as then we started to get penalties for cars having run wide and exceeding the track limits. It didn't affect the overall lead fight, but it did serve as a reminder to stay within the white lines. Stephen Kane hustled on, fending off the attack of the Mercedes and not cracking under the pressure. The two ran past the pits, with Kane maintaining second spot as the BMWs continued to fight. Philippe Eng going through on the inside of Marcus Paltela, but then he ran wide. It looked as though Paltela in the sister Rover racing car would come back, but Philippe Eng, multiple Porsche champion, was able to hang on to the place. 6th and 7th, the two BMW M6s. There were nervous faces inside the Bentley garage as Stephen Kane hung on to second spot with Dominic Baumann tucked up behind him. Daniel Junqueira was running in 4th place in his Mercedes. Kane didn't put a wheel wrong. Running out of ideas was Baumann as Jimmy Eriksson looked on from the pit garage. Could his car find a way past the big Bentley? Junqueira was closing up as well, as for second place they ran side by side, but again Stephen Kane was able just to hang on to the place. Vincent Abril was looking ever more nervous, so too was Malcolm Wilson of M Sport. But up towards the checkered flag and a second win of the weekend came the 84 Mercedes. Franck Pereira and Maximilian Buch, the winners. They did the double at Misano to kick-start the season in style. But for second place, who would it be? Stephen Kane just ahead as they came to the line. Bentley fending off Mercedes, and second place was a great start to the season for the M Sport team. Stephen Kane and Vincent Abril taking second. Joel Eriksson coming home third in the car shared with Dominic Baumann. Franck Pereira and Maximilian Buch, the winners of the first main race of the season. Bentley second, Mercedes third and fourth, Audi fifth, and BMW in sixth.
Maxi, I keep saying you're having a walk in the park. You could have actually slowed down and made it a five-way race for the lead of this race. Why didn't you do that?
Because I'm too scared about that. Because I know that the others are quicker and I don't want to mess it up, no joking. Frank did an amazing job, an outstanding job. He pushed really hard to make a gap for the pit stop, that we have no troubles at the pit stop, that we can take it a bit more relaxed to do no mistakes. And at the end, yeah, I just wanted to bring the car home, didn't want to over push, didn't want to break anything or have a tire failure, so it worked well, yeah.
The winning drivers on the podium, Maximilian Buch and Franck Pereira, having a great start to the season. 2 races at Misano, 2 wins to Mercedes, perhaps the car to beat. Round 2 of the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup would be in the UK at Brands Hatch in the Kent countryside on the fabulous Grand Prix configuration. The number 63 Lamborghini had won the qualifying race, but Stuart Leonard meant business.
Stuart, you had a big battle with the 58 McLaren in the race this morning. Do you expect to continue that, or are you hoping to get clear?
To be honest, I mean, anything can happen in the first lap. We'll see. The McLaren had good pace. It was hard work to try and keep it behind me. Unfortunately, I made a bit of a mistake, which enabled him to get past. But we'll see, I'll try and get in front of him again.
After the qualifying race win, it was the Christian Engelhardt Mirko Bortolotti Lamborghini on pole position, and it blasted away as the cars hustled into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Lamborghini 1-2, BMW 3rd and 4th. On the run up the hill for the first time, Felix Torales was another driver looking to gain ground. He went to the outside line, split the BMWs. The cars accelerated downhill for the first time. The Mercedes eventually securing 4th spot at Graham Hill Bend. Coming out of the corner though, Peter Schothorst ran wide in the Audi with the blue nose, and he was on the outside line on the run up towards Surtees. Up front, Lamborghini led, and the qualifying race-winning car was starting now to edge clear and build up a very impressive advantage. However, the gap that it had pulled out over the opposition wouldn't last indefinitely. It wasn't long before we had cars in the gravel. The ISR Audi was off, and that brought out the safety car, which in turn reduced all of the gaps. As the car was pulled out of the gravel, the race was back underway. Up towards the line came 63. It was in fact a Lamborghini 1-2 still, as the Grasser Racing Team cars tried to build the advantage once more over BMW, Mercedes, BMW 3rd, 4th, 5th, with Audi running 6th. The lead gap was extending all the time as the cars climbed uphill. Marcus Paltner was busy defending as co-driver Jesse Krohn looked on from the pit lane. Paltner tried to defend, but Felix Morales made that dive at Graham Hill Bend and went through. The two BMWs then got themselves side by side with Ben Barneycoat's McLaren next in the queue. He was looking for a clear bit of road as they headed towards Hawthorns, but the road was blocked with BMWs. Through on the inside line went 98. That put Marcus Paltner back up one spot, but Antonio Felix da Costa was crawling all over the back of him. Ben Barneycoat lined up to make a move down at Graham Hill Bend, found the inside line and went through ahead of da Costa. The McLaren working its way up the order, the former single-seater driver doing an excellent job in his first full season of GT racing. The Michael Meadows Raffaele Marciello Mercedes was another one trying to climb back into contention, with Michael Meadows at the wheel of it. Meadows on the outside line as they plunge downhill, heading to the right-hander of Hawthorn, but he lost out to the Stracker Racing McLaren through on the inside line. Also in a big hurry was Peter Scotthorst, who got himself up alongside the Dominic Baumann, Jimmy Eriksson Mercedes. He had the inside line for Hawthorn, and with it, he had the place. The Audi through ahead of the Mercedes, as Michael Meadows had also been able to find a place, despite tapping the back of the David Fumanelli Lewis Williamson McLaren. Barneycoat, though, was still charging. Next target was Marcus Paltner, and he was up on the inside line, attacking for 4th place on the run towards Surtees. The gap was there, the McLaren braked late, and he forced the issue. Meantime, for 2nd place, they were nose to tail. For 4th, they were side by side, but the BMW came out of Surtees just ahead. Barneycoat made his move on the outside. There was just enough width. He was ahead by the time they got to the bottom of Pilgrim's Drop, but on the outside line, he had to slot back in behind the BMW. They were heading as well for the pit stop window. In came from 2nd place Ezequiel Perez Compact, and it was Norbert Siedler that would take over. The Rover BMWs were cycling through their stops as well, but as the car accelerated away, also in a big hurry, the Stuart Leonard, now Robin Prince Audi, and that gained places. It was a slow stop for the number 19 Lamborghini that had to wait for the traffic to go through, but the car wouldn't restart. Norbert Siedler was in real trouble, losing place after place after place. The car just would not fire up again, and it tumbled way, way down the order. And then in the pit lane, there was the most curious incident, as one car trying to avoid a stray wheel managed to connect with another. The one that lost out most was number 99 BMW that suffered damage and parked at pit out. The leading car was in, however. Would this be a better pit stop than it had been for the other GRT Lamborghini? Christian Engelhardt out, Mirko Bortolotti got in. The car dropped down, it fired up and drove away seamlessly, unlike the sister car. Now this was the moment that took BMW out of the race. Have a look in the pit lane. A wheel bounces, the Mercedes has to swerve around it, connects with the BMW, but Philippe got the red mist potentially and swerved towards the right-hand side and clobbered the Mercedes. He then got ahead, but as he drove out of the pit lane, realised that there was damage and the BMW had to park and retire from the race. The stewards were kept busy. 88 was also a casualty. The car was given a drive-through for an unsafe release, but with the damage, Danny Junqueira's car was out of the race. Leading Pro-Am, the Ferrari, Daniel Karlvitz and Alexander Matschul. The two drivers, it was a happy Matschul watching from the pit lane. A double at Brands Hatch, though, for Christian Engelhardt and Mirko Bortolotti. The Lamborghini had won the qualifying race, and a main race victory was heading its way as well. Fantastic pace shown by both drivers as Lamborghini mopped up at Brands Hatch. A delighted Mirko Bortolotti, unblinking. Confirmation of the race results, a win for the 63 Lamborghini. Second in the end went to Stuart Leonard and Robin Frenz, and third Marcus Winkelhock and Will Stevens.
Christian Engelhardt, outstanding opening stint, almost obscenely good.
Yeah, it was great. The car was amazing all the weekend. Team did a really great job preparing the car, and we didn't have to change a lot since we came here. And the race was, after a really good start I had, it was really good, pushing every lap, pulling a gap, my teammate behind, having all the pack behind, which surely helped pulling the gap. And of course we try to push as hard to make a big gap for the pit stop, because you never know what happens in the pit stop. Yeah, Mirko brought it home. Awesome weekend for all of us.
Well, Mirko, we were watching the onboard shot. One thing I noticed about you when you're driving, you never blink.
Really?
Never.
Okay, it's good to know.
So it was an easy run for you?
Well, easy, it's never easy, obviously, but easier than it was sometimes. But that's because of the situation that was created in the race, because every race has its own story. If you look at this race, Christian managed to pull away at the beginning. We had Ezequiel behind doing a great job, but fighting a bit with the rest of the pack. That gave us a big chance to open up a gap. And obviously when I got in the car in the second stint, I had a big margin. So it was easier than usual, I would say, yes.
Honours in the Silver Cup went again to Jules Szymkowiak and Fabian Schiller in their HTP Mercedes. Pro-Am victory went to Alexander Matschel and Daniel Kalvitz. But no doubt about the heroes of Brands Hatch. A qualifying race win, a main race win to Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Engelhardt, victorious on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. And with that as well, their championship hopes took a big step forward. Maxi Buch and Franck Pereira leading, but only 3 points between them and Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Engelhardt, now second with Marcus Paltela and Jesse Krohn next up. The third stop for the Sprint Cup was Zolder, the former home of the Belgian Grand Prix, and honours in the qualifying race fell to Stuart Leonard and Robin Frenz. But one man keen to beat them was local man Dries van Tor.
I live 20 meters from the track, so I mean, it's really cool and nice to sleep at my own bed and to eat at home and everything. And of course I have a lot of friends and family are coming to the track, so it's giving me a little boost to maybe do that bit more what's needed.
It's an important weekend, you know, we are in the third round of the sprint, but no, I think everything is going positive for us. I think we have to do another good result this weekend, because in Brands Hatch with the puncher we lost some points, but I'm very focused. I think we can do something this weekend.
Away from the lights, Michael Meadows charged away from Stuart Leonard's pole-sitting Audi to lead into turn one. Straight away though, the stewards were on their toes. Had that been a very good start by Meadows or a jump start by the Mercedes? Leonard dropped back in the pack. Straight away the Mercedes was under investigation. The battle was on behind as the Audis ran side by side. Jake Dennis in number 3 looking to try to gain ground as they wriggle their way through turns 1 and 2. Look back for the BMW. Cars all over the curb as they ran through the first of the chicanes. Over the timing line, Michael Meadows led at the end of lap 1 from the ISR Audi in second spot. Jake Dennis on the inside line went through ahead of the Ferrari. Carlo Van Dam and Piti Bieron-Bachty, the drivers. The next one in strife was Gustavo Jackerman as he ran over the curb going through the chicane, as Michael Meadows' team manager was being summoned to see the race director. It looked as though a penalty might be coming. Dominic Baumann went past Enzo Eid and Franck Pereira tried to follow suit. Pereira desperately trying to climb up the order from a lowly grid position. Enzo Eid, Belgian driver, managed to hang on to the place. Then there was more drama coming into the chicane as number 99, Antonio Felix da Costa, was hit and the BMW was turned around. He was able to rejoin, but a whole heap of places were lost. Ben Barnicoat was in strife as well, damage on the front left corner, and the McLaren was another car heading for retirement. Then came news about Michael Meadows. He had a drive-through penalty for a false start, being out of position away from the start, and he also had another drive-through penalty for going too quickly to the start. It was a double whammy. Behind him then, the two Audis were squabbling for what would become the race lead. Marcus Winkelhock in the green and grey car round the outside of the ISR entry. Clement Schmidt at the wheel of it, and he just hung on to the place. Winkelhock slotting in behind. So then the penalties would come. Meadows would have to give up the advantage. The Audis became the two cars fighting for the race lead. Philippe Salaquada watching on. He would take over from Clement Schmidt as the first of the drive-throughs was served by Michael Meadows. That car would tumble way down the order by the end of the afternoon. More battles raged on. Jake Dennis battling with Ezequiel Perez Compact. Enzo Eade was in the mix as well. Eade got roughed up, forced over the curb, and he would lose another place potentially to the McLaren that dived through on the inside. Rob Bell managing to find a way through, and then when Enzo Eade ran wide at turn 1, he put himself in jeopardy once again. Pit stop time. Clement Schmidt came in, so too did Marcus Winkelhock. Will Stevens would climb aboard the number 2 Audi. Philippe Salaquada would get on board the ISR car. Whichever team could cycle the cars through quicker would have the advantage, and that was the Belgian WRT team that had a much faster stop than ISR. That put Will Stevens, fresh from Le Mans testing, into the lead of the race. There was a battle on behind as well for 7th place. Stephen Kane versus Maxi Book. Bentley versus Mercedes. The Bentley having struggled all weekend. The number 1 Audi was also charging back into contention, but had a lot of work to do. And then there was contact between Jimmy Eriksson and Daniel Junqueira down at the last chicane. That put Eriksson up the escape road, which is also the pit-in lane. He was able to rejoin, but with rear damage, the car would not go a lot further. He came out of the Jackie X-Box onto the pit straight, but realising the extent of the damage, he parked it. And that would bring out the safety car. This is what happened. Junqueira was looking for a way through. He went one way and then the other, tagged the back of the 86 Mercedes, and the two cars coming to grief. Marcus Winkelhock looked on from the pit lane as the green flags flew to get the race underway with just over a minute to go. That would be one more racing lap. Could Will Stevens hang on in there? Philippe Salaquada was in second, and then Robin Frens up to third in the car that he shared with Stuart Leonard. Frens to the inside line going into turn 2, but Salaquada was able to hang on to the advantage. A very worried Stuart Leonard looked on. Clement Schmidt was equally nervous, but it was Will Stevens who would come through to score the race win with Marcus Winkelhock. Two very happy drivers indeed at the end of a great race at Zolder. Will Stevens taking his first Blancpain GT Series win. Marcus Winkelhock, the co-driver. Second going to the ISR Audi of Clement Schmidt and Philippe Salaquada. And third to WRT's Stuart Leonard and Robin Frens ahead of Marcel Fassler and Dries van Toor.
Well, Stevens, congratulations. But how stressful was that last 5 minutes?
A little bit, to be honest, because I think we actually had a small issue on the last lap. So I was trying to nurse it home. I was hoping the safety car would go on for a while, but Winky did a great job at the start. I was actually in Le Mans earlier, so it took me a lap or two to get back into the spirit of it, but it was great. It's been a long time coming, and really happy to finally get the win, and that's probably the best pit stop we've had in all the time I've been here, so a great job by the team and also by Winky.
Honours in the Silver Cup yet again went to Jules Kowiak and Fabian Schiller for HTP Mercedes, and they also now had a comfortable lead in the Silver Cup in the championship. In Pro-Am, Daniel Kalvitz and Alexander Matschel, the leaders by just 4 points from Carlo Van Dam and Piti Pierombakti. But in the race, some different names atop the podium. Michael Bronizeski and Giacomo Piccini, the race winners at Zolder. Overall, Maxi Book and Franck Pereira now just 5 points ahead of Marcus Winkelhock and Will Stevens. Stuart Leonard and Robin Frens looking menacing as well, back in third spot. On the top step of the podium, however, it was celebration time for a delighted Marcus Winkelhock and Will Stevens, the Audi drivers conquering here at Zolder in round 3 of the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. The second half of the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup began in Hungary, where a huge promotional effort kicked in. There was a spectacular parade into town and the popular autograph session with the drivers. Honours in the qualifying race fell to Marcel Fessler and Dries Vanthoor's Audi. But one man very keen indeed to win the main race on the back of success at Zolder was Marcus Winkelhock. Another win here would really help in his championship hopes.
Will and me, we are second in the championship, still have a good chance to win it, and at the end, you know, I don't have it in my mind just thinking all time about the championship. I think if you think too much just about focusing on the championship, maybe it's a bit dangerous. So I try to make a good job from weekend to weekend, and then at the end we calculate together, and then we will see where we end up.
At the start of the race, it was Christian Engelhardt's Lamborghini versus Marcel Fessler's Audi, with Marcus Winkelhock in the mix as well. Franck Pereira's newly re-liveried Mercedes was looking for third place on the way down towards the first corner, but on the inside line, the blue and silver Audi of Peter Schothorst was able to hang on. Michael Meadows was another of those trying to gain ground. Schothorst then had a look for second on the inside line, diving down towards turn 2 with Franck Pereira's Mercedes round the outside line. Michael Meadows ran wide as the cars climbed uphill. He wasn't the only one either, as the number 8 Bentley did exactly the same thing. There were great battles raging on all the way up and down the order. The Porsche of Kevin Estre and Klaus Bachler also one to watch. The Attempto racing car, a welcome addition to the grid. Alexander Matschel was fighting with Piti Bieronbachti in Pro-Am, the two Ferraris together, Matschel getting ahead. But there was early drama as Martin Kodrich, guesting in the Straka Racing McLaren, had a spin and couldn't rejoin. That was coming out of the last corner. There were yellow flags. And then there was contact. Felix Serrales got a tap and around he went. Thankfully, everybody just missed him. But it wasn't long before the safety car would appear, and all that to try to retrieve Martin Kodrich's stricken Straka McLaren. The gaps all came down as Mirko Bortolotti looked on, watching his car attacking. Christian Engelhardt was second, right on the back of Marcel Fessler as they dived down towards turn 1. In third was Franck Pereira. The lead battle, though, was well and truly joined. It became a long, long line for the lead as then Klaus Bachler kicked up the dust, the Porsche running a little wide. Bachler was charging, but sadly not so the number 7 Bentley that came into the pit lane with mechanical dramas, and then a spin for the South African driver David Perel, his Ferrari running in the AM Cup. He, though, was able to get going. For the lead, it was still Fessler versus Engelhardt, the two of them tied together, with Franck Pereira right there as well in the Mercedes. A late decision to pit for Engelhardt got him out of that lead battle and could well prove to be the crucial pit stop of the race. Could this be enough to get them ahead on the pit stop cycle of the race-leading Audi? Time would tell. In came 63, Winkelhock was also in to give way. But another car that had come in was the blue and silver Audi. Peter Schothorst giving way to Jake Dennis, and that got itself ahead of the other Audi and the Lamborghini. An inspired stop, and one that really put them in the box seat. In came Franck Pereira to give way to Maximilian Buch. In also came the number 5 Audi. The 84 Mercedes cycled through its stop, but there was a problem on the right front corner. Time was lost, and the Mercedes would drop down the order. Audi number 5 rejoined in the lead of the race. The Lamborghini down in third spot, and the HTP 84 Mercedes now just on the fringes of the top 10 with a lot of work to do. There was a little nudge as Mirko Bortolotti got into the back of Jake Dennis as they sprinted up towards the line. Dries Vanthoor, though, was the race leader. Audi 26 of Romain Monti and Christopher Hasse was also hustling on, gaining 9th place. As the battles raged on, Dominic Bauman's Mercedes rejoined and slotted in to exactly the same battle it had been in pretty much before it stopped, just ahead of the 84 Mercedes this time. It was Buch and Baumann battling as they plunged downhill round the outside, went the battlefield Mercedes to pick up a place and, crucially of course, pick up championship points for Buch and Pereira. There was a brave dive by Robin Frains up the inside past Mirko Bortolotti for third place, but he ran wide and lost the place straight away. Then drama for the number 1 Audi. Up the curb and all the way around went Christopher Mies, a rare mistake by the German driver. He was able to rejoin, but time and places were lost. And then more drama for the 888 Ferrari. Steve Earle picking up a puncture. He was able to rejoin, limping back to the pit lane. More drama as well, as the car had been hit from behind. That was by the Bentley, and that knocked Steve Earle off the road. No wonder the car had suffered the damage. Marcel Fassler looked on as Dries van Tor headed for a double victory. They'd won the qualifying race, a main race victory was coming their way. The Audi drivers making it 2 out of 2 at Hungary, to the delight of the WRT team. It had been a difficult start to the season for Dries van Tor and Marcel Fassler, but 2 wins in Hungary was a very sweet result indeed, and the WRT engineers were celebrating. Marcel Fassler all smiles as he congratulated the engineers. As far as the race results were concerned, Fassler and Van Tor the race winners. The sister WRT car of Scott Horst and Dennis a great second, with Engelhardt and Bortolotti coming through for third. Fourth, Stuart Leonard and Robin Frains.
Marcel Fassler, congratulations. A lot more difficult than yesterday.
Yeah, it was obviously much harder than yesterday. I think also already when I started, we had a little bit suffered a little bit with oversteer, so it was a little bit tougher than yesterday. But yeah, it was an awesome weekend. Young Dries did an awesome job the whole weekend. He was fastest the whole weekend, so it was yeah, for us now to turn over, and we're really happy to be on the top of the podium now.
Marcel, we got rid of one Van Tor, we've now got another one who's a winning driver. Dries, effort, made fantastic job yet again, but again, pretty hot out there.
Oh man, it was really tough. This race was a bit more difficult than yesterday. The car was tricky to drive, but I mean, still it was a great car. I mean, Audi and WRT just made a great preparation for this race, and I must say big congrats to them. Because of them, we have such a good car and we can win this kind of races.
In the championship, a 3-point advantage between Buch, Pereira and then Bortolotti and Engelhardt. Dries van Tor and Marcel Fassler tied on points with Stuart Leonard and Robin Frains, with only one more event and therefore 2 more races still to go, and that would be at the Nurburgring. Celebrations though on the podium at the Hungaroring. 2 out of 2 here for Dries van Tor and Marcel Fassler. The final round of the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup was at the Nurburgring, with the top 5 in the championship all very tight indeed. The weekend started with drama when Ezequiel Perez Companc and Andrea Caldarelli won the qualifying race, but got a 1-second time penalty, giving a crucial win to Maxi Buch and Franck Pereira. They led the championship just 7 points ahead of Dries van Tor and Marcel Fassler, but with Robin Frains and Stuart Leonard only 11 points off the lead, it was going to be a hard fight for the championship.
I'm going to do my best. I think we're going to do our best, and no, I'm really looking forward to it. It's a very competitive series, and it would be amazing to win. We're doing everything we can to be at the right spot at the right time.
You know, a title is always something great. It means also that you have been the best over the whole season. And I think this, especially this championship, because there are so many contenders who could win the title, I think it would be something special to win this one. And yeah, but it's tough.
I think it will be a quite exciting weekend. You know, it's a good position to be leading. We got some bad luck last races, but I think we're going to push all the weekend, try to get the best result for the win, like we start the season with Misano. I think it could be good to close the championship with a win. At the moment the car is good, we are very motivated, it's positive, and we will try the best.
It was set to be a thrilling finale, and with number 84 then starting from pole position, it was the Mercedes that led the race, eager not just to win on track but win the championship as well. Maxime Soulet's Bentley took second as Ezequiel Perez compact dived round the outside trying to regain ground, and Dries Vanthoor was in the mix as well. The cars wriggled their way through the first sequence of corners. Vincent Abril was busy battling the Bentley, plunging down the hill and looking to gain ground on the inside line. But up front it was the Buch Pereira Mercedes leading the way and trying to escape into the distance. Up the inside for second place went Soulet as they came into the final corner. Compact dropping back a little bit. He ran wide, he was over the curb and back onto the road. For that move, though, Maxime Soulet would be given a drive-through penalty for forcing another car off the track. The stewards had a long look at it and decided the move was rather robust. Meantime, there was another great battle as the number 17, Leonard Frane's Audi, tried to wriggle its way up the order. But Soulet was still charging as the championship situation ebbed and flowed. More drama as well early on in the race as the cars turned their way through the Mercedes arena, and Felix Morales was the one tagged into a spin. The 488 Ferrari getting into the back of him, but then the news came of that drive-through penalty for the number 8 Bentley. Andy Soucek was not impressed. This from on board with Dries Vanthoor, who was next in the queue. Through the chicane, it was the Lamborghini ahead of the Bentley. Soulet then to the inside line, but have a look. Was it robust? Was it elbows out? There was no contact. He was through on the inside line. Nose was ahead. He took the racing line, and Compact just had to give way. For that, Soulet was penalised, and it certainly affected the chances of number 8. Diving into the pit lane was the Fessler Vanthoor Audi, also from Pereira in to give way to Maximilian Buch. There were plenty of pit stops and the drama would continue from the track into the pit lane. Fessler out, Vanthoor into the car. The number 5 Audi cycling through its stop in what had become a very busy pit lane. Number 5 dropped down and a mechanic fell. The airline just caught around the rear wing, and as the car blasted away, that took him with it. He was okay, but the stewards had a look at whether that was an unsafe release for number 5 Audi, of course, a car challenging for the championship. From Pereira and Maximilian Buch swapped over in 84, but then the team manager of number 5 was being summoned to race control. Was a penalty coming? 84 was set to blast back into the race, but not ahead. Number 5 Audi was going to keep the race advantage, and that looked as though the championship would go its way as well. This, however, was the unsafe release for number 5 Audi. The airline just caught round the rear wing as the car accelerated. The mechanic went with it. He was okay, picked himself up, but the stewards wanted to talk to the team manager. A penalty would really spoil it for the Audi team. 84 had also had its dramas in the pits with a little bit of hesitation over that left front corner. Eventually the work was done, but then the Mercedes ran wide, coming out of the final turn onto the pit straight. Wide through the gravel and down, down, down through the order the car fell. WRT's engineers were delighted as with a punctured tyre, 84 limped over the line looking as though its race was run. Maxi Buch behind the wheel. A disconsolate Franck Pereira could do no more. Buch parked the car, race done, championship hopes gone. Next up the inside was the Robin Frane's Audi, diving through on the inside of number 2, the Winkelhock and Dennis WRT Audi R8. Number 17 was now very much in the mix for the championship, especially as a drive-through penalty would come for the number 5 Vanthoor Fessler Audi for that unsafe release from the pit lane. Straight away, WRT had to do the calculations. Was a drive-through enough to lose them the race lead and lose the car the championship? The answer would be yes. Down through the pit lane came number 5. Pierre Dieudonné talked to the engineers, but they knew that it was lost as far as number 5 was concerned. The pendulum swung in favour of number 17. Maxi Buch was another looking on as Robin Franes took over the lead of the race and the lead of the championship. In the green Ferrari, Daniel Kalvitz, recovered from mid-season injury, was heading for the Pro-Am class win with Alexander Matschel, not only in terms of the championship, but also another race win here at the Nurburgring. The Silver Cup leaders, seemingly as ever, were Fabian Schiller and Jules Szymkowiak. They too were heading for a class win in the race and a class win in the championship. But a race win and a championship win for Robin Frenz and Stuart Leonard for the WRT squad, as Robin Frenz accelerated out of the last corner, up over the timing line. Victory in the race, victory in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup for Robin Frenz and Stuart Leonard here at the Nurburgring. It was a WRT Audi 1-2 as the Winkelhock Dennis car came over the line in second place. But delight for Vincent Voss's team. Another title after what had been a really difficult season. Audi never really looking the quickest car across the season. Confirmation of the race results, but the one thing that everybody wanted to know was about the race win. Stuart Leonard and Robin Frenz ahead of Will Stevens and Marcus Winkelhock. Kompak and Caldarelli coming home third.
Robin Frenz, you're a champion yet again.
Well, yet again, I mean, last year I was fighting with Book, with the Bentley, or 2 years ago that was, and just made out the sprint champion, and now came from third, overtook Lambo and Marcus, kept it all clean, and to win a championship like this, yeah, it's real satisfaction.
I know you always dream that you got a chance, but when the lights went out, did you realise that this was going to be real? I mean, first Stuart, come in, Stuart.
Mate, you are a legend. You are a legend. Thank you so much. Oh man.
Did you actually think there's a real chance you could win this championship?
Well, at the beginning it was difficult. The chance was always there, but Book was in front of us. He was leading the pack, and he was second, and Dries was way up ahead. So yeah, I thought the chances were gone. Dries got a drive-through penalty. Book went off in front of me. I think he had a failure on his car or whatever. And then you suddenly fighting for the championship together with your teammates. So it's fun, but I think it's quite stressful for the team.
Best part for me was that pass down the inside of Marcus. Absolutely spot on.
Yeah, on the radio it was quite stressful. They said like a few times, keep it clean, which I did. I think it was a clean overtaking, and the overtaking for the championship.
Well done. Stuart, we were watching you after you got out of the car, and once the realization set in you could win this championship, just stress all over.
Yeah, exactly. I think those last 10 minutes I was just praying that everything just went smoothly, and because started and that was struggling a bit, and I was like, I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but then we did a really good pit stop, and then just gradually one thing happened after another, and I'm just speechless.
Stuart, was the stress worse holding that pack of cars behind you in your stint, or watching Robin making his way up through the field?
I think watching Robin, actually. Normally I'd say the other way around, but in this case, watching Robin.
Well, congratulations to you. Fantastic day. Well done.
Championship winners Stuart Leonard and Robin Frenz at the end of an ultra-competitive season in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. They're confirmed as the champions ahead of Marcus Winkelhock and Will Stevens, then Maxi Buch and Franck Pereira dropping to third ahead of Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Engelhardt, with Dries Van Thor and Marcel Fassler coming home fifth equal. Belgian Audi Club Team WRT, the team's champions ahead of Team WRT, the satellite outfit, then GRT Grasser Racing Team. And in the Silver Cup, it was all about Jules Szymkowiak and Fabian Schiller. Multiple race winners and champions, deservedly so as well. The Pro-Am champions, Alexander Matschel and Daniel Kalvitz. Daniel recovering after mid-season injuries sustained testing at Spa-Francorchamps. Now the overall champions in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup, the Team WRT, Robin Frenz and Stuart Leonard. Vincent Voss's squad taking yet another title. For Robin Frenz, another GT title. For Stuart Leonard, the best season of his relatively short career, coming out on top at the end of what has been an absolutely superb season of GT racing, with full grids, plenty of drama, some great racing, great competition, and Audi yet again proving that it knows as a brand how to win championships. An all-action season in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. There'll be more of the same in 2018.